Layers are layers panel. If you don't know the layers panel by now, what are we doing? What are we doing? What have I not shown you in the layers panel? I don't do much with sorting the different types of layers, but if you only want to show layers that have these effects on them, or if you only want to show layers with these mode, this is really good if you're doing like a massive amount of design and you want to search through layers and you've been naming them and you only want to find layers with the name Stickavisitive, as I have right there. Smart object selected. You can sort through layers in all sorts of fun ways. I only want to see layers that are vectors. I only want to see layers that are images. Blah, blah, blah. Or you can see all layers, which is generally what I've been doing for most of this course because I'm not doing major things with like hundreds of layers for design documents, which is where that really becomes useful. Libraries is something where you can feed things into your Creative Cloud library and then draw them out inside of Photoshop. So I can either go to my library, I can create a new library, I can drag objects into this library. So for instance, hey, this object is now in my libraries, which means that I can access it. I'm going to delete it, which means that I can now access it from a bunch of different programs. There's ways to access it on some iPad apps, and it's basically a shared library through all of your Creative Cloud documents, which is a pretty cool new feature. Measurement log. So this is something I was showing this to you when we were going through image analysis, measurement scale, and data points and all of this. So if I'm using the ruler tool, I can record a measurement and then it goes into a measurement log. There's all sorts of things that I can say for settings here, but that was another course, so we're not going to get into that right there. Navigator. I don't know who's using Navigator. If you get lost in your document, you can see where you're zoomed in, or you can just hit Command 0 to see everything. So, do what's good for you right there. The Navigator just allows you to zoom in a super convoluted way. And I'll be honest, I use Navigator so infrequently, I'm actually curious. No, there's really no options. Man, Navigator, why does that exist? Notes, this is the ability to add multiple notes. So I want a note here, blah, blah, blah. And then I want another note here, blah, 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 and another note here. Now I'm going to pass this off to the person I work with, and he can click these notes. Or I could just have a complementing document. You do you for your workflow. Whatever is best for you. And you can sort through all of the notes, and there's a note thing here. So if you want to use notes, that's a way to put notes directly inside of the Photoshop document on different parts of it. I generally use the low-tech solution of just creating my notes on like just a layer that says notes. It's so low-tech, but it gets the job done, and people aren't like, how do I use the notes feature? Maybe I'm just not working with people who know how to use the notes feature. Yes, I want to delete all of these notes. So anyway, you can add notes, and this is kind of a bar to just jump through all of the notes like that. Paragraph, again, this is something with character styling. I'm not going to get into it right there. Paragraph styles, like character styles, it's a way of assigning styles to different things. Path, this is where you'll see all of your paths. So if I start to draw a path, it will be inside of this. Not going to dig into it more than that. Properties, this is again the thing that went with, I'm going to create an adjustment. And so if I create something like, a levels adjustment layer, and then I make an adjustment, the adjustment happens inside of the properties window. So just, yay, look at this cool levels adjustment right there. Didn't mean to click swatches. Styles are just different things that we could apply to a generally vector image. So styles are basically just something that they put on all of these different effects, and I assume some people in design will create new sets that are great. The default ones are pretty gosh darn awful, but I'm sure other people use these as design elements and load in all sorts of great styles. I do a lot more with photo editing than with design in Photoshop. It's an expansive program. The timeline, speaking of an expansive program, I mean, this is where you do everything with video, like the create video timeline. The amount of things that can happen inside of here are just immense. I go into it briefly in the timeline animation, how to make a GIF and work with brief video sessions, and I really don't want to dig into that right now. I just want to reference it. And then tool presets. This is, again, something that I don't personally use, but you can create a preset for all of the tools that you're on. So Jeremy Move Options. And so now I have a Jeremy Move Options thing. And if I go up here, I can be like, I want to do Jeremy Move Options 1, or I can do a new tool preset, or I could get into all sorts of things. I leave all of these at default because it makes it easier to teach, and it makes it so if I go to someone else's computer, it will generally work unless they've gone into it and really customized their own presets. I'm very much a power user in Photoshop. I do not use tool presets. You shouldn't have to use them either. And again, if somebody uses them and it totally changes their workflow, that is absolutely a possibility. I understand that. I'm actually very curious. I would love to learn how you're using tool presets in a powerful way. So application frame basically switches it from having the green buttons right there. If I unclick that, then basically it fills up the entire window right there. And then I can see things floating underneath. So I kind of like having the application frame where it takes up everything. It takes up the screen. I like that. Options, it's the options bar up here. I could also double click anything. I could also, here, let's get rid of options. I could also click a tool and then hit enter. Basically, it's easy to get the option bar up there. These are all things they want you to have all of the time, so they stick them all the way at the bottom. The Adobe folks. And tools, those are your tools. You want your tools. They what allow you to do everything. And this is the way to switch between the different windows that you have open. So here we go, these two right here. So that was a lightning quick, so quick, such a ridiculously quick, I don't even know if it was helpful, just going over of each of the individual windows. And I'm well aware that I didn't dig into them enough for you to actually be using them yourself without other complementary courses. The idea here was just to give you an overview of this is everything that we covered in these. And also, if you want to dig into this one element further, you can Google it yourself. There's all sorts of videos on all of these, but this is kind of an overview of what each of them are and how they're all showing up within this. Let's move on to the help dropdown, which hopefully will be a dropdown that you don't need too much help with.